Yo, it's Guido coming at you with a Tactics Talk. Welcome back, guys. Let's talk 279 early missions since I have finally moved on to just concentrating on those. And I have to tell you, there's good and bad here. We're going to start with the good. We're going to show you a mission, and then I'm going to jump in to the bad a little bit. So the good will be fairly quick. I don't want to give away too many things here, but the mission I'm trying to do is spot an average or spot for a kill an average of 2 tanks using, well, whatever you want really. Since it's 279 early, it's split out by nations and not by types of tanks. So you could use whatever you wanted. I happen to be trying the Manticore, see if I can do it with the spotting thing. If I'm honest, the good on this is it does require a little bit of setup, and if you get yourself set up right, you're going to increase your chances. One of the things you're going to want to do with most of the missions, because they are a in-series set of missions, meaning over a span of X battles you have to do a certain amount of things. Spotting for kills, damage, top percentage of your team, ace tanker 3 out of 6 or 5 or things like that. Of course, it's harder if you want to do it with honors. So that's how the 279 are early missions, which means you can reset those missions and start over. In general, for a lot of those missions, you're going to want to reset, and on the first battle, if you get a great result, then you're going to continue going. If you don't get a great result or you don't trip the requirement, then you're going to want to reset, because that's just a wasted battle anyway. For example, with this particular mission, you can get as many spots as you want, or can, I guess up to 15 really, if you ended up spotting for a kill all of the enemy team. So you could get 15, and in particular on this one, it's 20. It's 10 battles long, and it's 20 for the regular completion, and it's 30 in the, so average of 3 per battle and average 2 per battle. It's 30 for the with honors. So what I would do is I would start the mission, I would reset, and on that first battle in Manticore or whatever tank you're using, if you do well, then you're going to go ahead and hold on to that and continue down the road. Well, I happen to have got a 7 spot for kill mission with this tank. I'm going to show you that mission, or show you that battle here in just a second, which was great. And then the rest of the game happened, and we're going to talk about that when we come back. So let's jump in. So I had set it up. I guess I'd done a series of 5 or 6 and wasn't getting much of anywhere. I think I only had 9 out of the 20 I needed for the regular completion. So I did a reset, jumped into the battle, and I got this battle, and it ended up with 7, and I was feeling really good. Let's look at the battle first. We're going to try to keep the good feeling going before we get into the rest of it. All right, so I reset the counter, or reset the mission sequence, jumped into this battle. We're actually going to talk about that a little bit when we get out of this battle. But I got a pretty good scout map, so Ghost Town. So right off the bat, I was pretty happy. It's all tier 10. There is another Manticore and a 13105, so a bit fraught. I'm going to go over to a high risk, high reward place and be fairly aggressive, and it's going to end up working out. We're also going to discuss here, if you're a scout on the other team, why you need to look at what's happening to your team and try to figure out why that is happening. We've talked about that in the past here, but it is a skill you want to have as a light tank, really as any kind of tanker in this game. If you're fighting in a position that is a favorite of scout tanks, and it tends to have a situation where your tanks can be spotted and shredded, you have to understand where that is happening from so that you can either counter it or get the heck out of dodge. So I'm going to come over here into this line of bushes, which is a fairly famous light tank spotting area. The danger here is, I said this is high risk, high reward. The danger here is that one of the other light tanks comes screaming down the middle. Oftentimes, you'll have somebody who has a worse light tank in terms of camouflage and spotting. I mean, say you're in a 13105 and there was nothing else on the other side other than me and my Manticore. I've had 13105s come screaming down this line here, and with the hope of finding the Manticore quickly and neutralizing him and hopefully live. Now that's a high risk, high reward thing as well, but 13105 is probably going to maul a Manticore pretty quickly, if not kill it, and provided he can somehow dodge all the other shots. So again, it's not the greatest plan, but it might be a way to get rid of somebody who's going to have a huge advantage in a situation like this, provided you're not able to get close enough to proxy or just catch them out being stupid. In this particular map, though, we've got an enemy Manticore and a 13105, so I might actually get 2 guys. There's also a bunch of TDs, heavy hitters. I can be deleted pretty easily. So this is a high risk, high reward. If I can get in here and I don't find anybody, or maybe I can outspot them without getting proxy led, I might kill off some of the scouts, and I really want to get rid of their 13105 and their mana core. Some of you more eagle-eyed folks may have already realized that, holy cow, their 13105's on the other side, so whew, he's not going to YOLO me. Now, what about the other mana core? Well, I fully expected him to be somewhere in the middle. We'll see what happens. I am going to sit right here. I'm not going to push too much further forward, and I will have a lot of snippers back here, because I can kind of look right down this here, and if he's foolish enough just to come through the middle or maybe come to the edge of these bushes while moving, I might pick him up before he gets right on top of me. That's kind of why I sit here for a potato, and let's see if we can't figure out where their mana core is. Now, notice up at the top, just under the 2 zeros up there, and I do find a couple guys over there on the edge, not very surprising. There is a 0.2 and a 0.2. All right. So that means that I've already done a mission and I've done 0.2. Remember when I said I had reset? Well, apparently I didn't do it correctly. I didn't do it correctly because I thought I had reset and this was the first battle in the series. This is in fact the second battle in the series, because I've already done 2 guys, so to speak. All right, so I've spotted for a kill 2 guys. We're going to talk a little bit about how you know that's happening, or how you can't know that's happening to some extent, on the replay cards, or not the replay cards, but the end of game cards. But you can see you've got your progress markers up there, and that is helpful if you want to bring that into your cross check. Gives you a general idea of where you're sitting. And I find their mana core. All right, very interesting. So their mana core was over here. Peeking up and over, using that line of bushes. It's hard to see right here, but that line of bushes can be used if you come up and over and you kind of look this way. But if the top of your tank comes over this ridge first, it's uncovered from the angle that I am. And the mana core needs to know right then that maybe something's wrong. He could potentially feel like the foe saw him, but I would be very, what would be the word here? I would be very suspicious of being lit. Now I find a Foch B sitting here, and then here comes a Foch 155, and you might ask yourself, why on earth are these guys up here? Well, look where their mana core is. You know, TD players for some reason love to crowd up against their light tanks too close. These are not bad positions right here, and I suppose if you thought your mana core had cleared all of this because he's so far forward, you might do something dopey like this. But also too, you kind of got to look at the enemy lineup and go, where's their mana core? I haven't seen that guy yet. Man, I would not be there if I was in a Foch in this game at this point of the game. It's a terrible position to be in. I thought the 155 had figured it out because he was coming right at us. I really thought he was just going to try to push me out of there, and I turn around and get ready to get out, and then he starts eating shots. There's another Foch 155 hanging out there behind the ship. All right, and this is where we were talking about earlier, and I said, you know, if you're the other mana core, other light tank driver in this situation, and you start to see those guys getting lit and crushed, they're probably clicking right here, somewhere near here, saying, hey, dude, the other guy's here. We got somebody in these bushes right here. You could even get, conceivably, a relatively stealthy medium up into here, although I don't know if maybe the other mana core might have picked you up if you were a medium, but he didn't pick me up. So what I'm saying is that mana core kind of has to, he's got to make a move. He's got to try to get in here and find me, figure out what's going on. But meanwhile, I'm just eating guys alive. So that brought me from 2 to 4. You see the marker for, there it is. 2 to 4, you can see the markers up there. It's showing me that I've got 4 guys, I thought, in one game. So we're just going to keep lighting these dudes hanging out in these bushes. Shots coming in from everywhere. Their mana core hasn't made a move. I wonder if he's maybe nearby in a bush. It's also possible that he has a much worse crew than me. I have a really good crew. They're at 7 skills or something. I have good equipment on the mana core. I am at least in parity, if not better than the vast majority of mana cores out there. Some of it has to do with maybe how you, specifics of which directives you're using and what your field mods and things are. You can modify that a little bit, be a little bit better, say, in spotting and a little worse in camo, or vice versa. There's options in there. So sometimes I lose out in those particular situations, but usually my assumption going in is that I'm at least at parity, if not better than the vast majority of the other mana cores out there in terms of tank and equipment. Skill-wise, well, that remains to be seen in each match on how well you play the game. So we're going to scooch forward. I'm hanging out here quite a bit, not getting too crazy, because I'm really wondering when this other mana core is going to make a move, and I just keep lighting up this JPZ. So we're going to be very careful moving through these bushes right here. Keep that guy lit. Excuse me. Waiting for him to die. 60 TP dies, but that's not for me. I'm at 5 now, so I've gained 3 more from the 2 I already had. Now I will tell you, I came out of this with 7. At least I thought I had. But what I really came out with was 5 on top of the 2 I already had. Unfortunately, I thought I got a lot more than I did. Thought it was 7 on my first battle, but it's really going to end up being 7 on 2 battles, which is still not a bad combo. Down goes the mana core. That was not for me, so I'm going to go ahead and bail out of that bush line. I'm looking at the tanks that are unspotted. There was a small chance there was a 4005 nearby that might be able to see me. My assumption on him is he's way back, and he will be on the very south part of the map, sitting up in their sniper position. I will come this way, though, just in case there's somebody back here. I mean, maybe he's hiding behind this rock. I find an Artie, that's nice. All right, we're at 0.6. Somebody else died due to my spotting. That's great. There's really hope. Ah, I needed that hit. Had I hit that guy, that Artie would have killed him, and that would have been another one for me right there. Let's see when it cranks up to 6. Because I do find a couple Arties here. That was a mistake because my elevation towards the back is worse than forward, so I got to turn the hole all around. Just a complete Muppet here. This dude's sitting there. We'll take a shot on him. I'm looking for a track maybe. Armor not hit. That's unfortunate. That got me to 7. All right. So the GW did count, but the Object 261 is going to get away in terms of getting me any spotting. This guy is not my spotting. I can just barely see him now. He's outside of my spotting. Probably didn't need to back up that much. I probably needed to scooch up forward, guys. I'm at 0.7 now. I'm not going to get any more out of this. I needed to move up to where my spotting was helping right there. I think I could have snuck in another one if I'd have been closer. I don't know if shared spotting for kills counts. It's a great question. It is a question that will remain unanswered. That data might be out there, but it is certainly not easy to access or get a hold of from Wargaming. It is very frustrating in a lot of these missions, understanding exactly what the hell you're supposed to do, and then tracking it and understanding how you got some of these things. Right? Okay, so 0.7, I thought it was my first battle. It was not. It was my second battle, but that's still a decent result. Remember, you need 3 average a battle if you're going to do it with honor, so I'm on track +1 even in 2 battles. I'm way ahead if it was my first. It's not. I'm a little bit above board if it's 2 battles for the one with honors. Let's go back to the garage, and we are going to discuss some other things about these very frustrating RNG-based missions. Last thing I will say, though, guys, if you're looking at light tank gameplay on this one, all of the spotting aside as far as getting kills and getting the 279 early mission, again, just to beat that dead horse over there, if you are the other scout, right, I've been on both sides of this. I've been out-scouted by guys in there, and I've out-scouted guys like I just did right there. It may be that you're going to have to make a bold move to save things. And you've got to be able to analyze that my guys are taking hits. I got spotted. I know he's over there somewhere. If we don't find him, then we're in trouble. If I saw the Foches in there, all that firepower, and I've got the JPZ sitting on the edge of the city and some other guys, get over there, guys. I mean, do it the best you can. Make as smart an approach as you can, but get in there and try to dig that guy out. And it may be that you dying is going to help your team at least start to even up things that are going on in the field. But my spotting was responsible for 7 of their tanks dying. Let's take the Artie out because that was way late. Sorry, 5 of their tanks dying. Take the Artie out, that's 4. That's pretty significant. And plus 7,800 assist over there in the field. Absolutely, completely neutralized their field with 1 tank. And the other mana core, had he been able to assess what was going on, should have done something about it. Now, the question is, did he know, and did he just choose not to, or did he not know? Well, I don't know. We've given an example of what it looks like, so put that in your kit bag. Now let's go talk about the 279 early frustrating arse missions. All right, back in the garage. So let's start at the beginning of doing the 279 early missions. We know they are generally a series of events within X number of battles that you have to do. They are quite difficult, but you can maximize your ability to do it by doing numerous things. The first one we'll talk about is tank selection. You're going to have to do a certain nationality, depending on what it is. I happen to be an alliance. Alliance is US, UK, and Polish. So right off the bat, I'm limited to 3 missions. All right, great. I'm doing always on duty, which is assistance. Enable your allies to destroy an average of 2 enemy vehicles per battle by spotting them or immobilizing them or destroying their tracks. Okay, got it. Sounds like a scout mission. Not necessarily, but I think scouts are probably going to be pretty good at this, especially for the spotting piece. You could potentially build yourself up a really nice medium to do a whole bunch of tracking and attempt to do it that way, so that is a possibility. We'll stick to the scouting side for this particular talk. Let me know if any of you have actually done it with the medium. That would be very interesting. I think potentially, now the Manticore is a fantastic scout, but it plays at tier 10. And it's always facing other Manticores and EBRs and good spotting out of mediums. So it is not the easiest tank to play, certainly at the hardest tier as well. But I think it's a decent choice. It might be for this mission that tier 8 scouts are the way to go, and here's why. Tier 8 scouts have a CVS, 7s and 6s do not. Okay, so no 7 and 6, medium or otherwise, or scout can use the CVS. So I think that's an advantage for any battles where you have 6s and 7s involved. Plus, a tier 8 scout is fine for taking on tier 10 tanks, right? Yeah, I mean, not talking about necessarily face-to-face combat, but they can do pretty well in that kind of combat, so, or that kind of match. So I think really, at the end of the day, the tier 8 is probably the best tank. Now, whatever tank it is that you pick, you want to set it up as well as you can. If we take a look at the Manticore, I do have a pretty try-hard setup on this thing. I am running a CVS, I've got improved optics, and I've got Bounty LNES. I am running a directive for natural cover, although I think I have another setup with the optics directive. It's not there because I think I ran out. I have some more, I could set that up. And I am running food. I've got a great crew. So I really have this thing set up pretty much good enough, or not good enough, but pretty much as good as you can get. There may be a few other ways to do that. I might even set up kind of a combat-ish setup with this thing for things like Himmelsdorf, where CVS just doesn't matter. So I'll just at least have that little bit of boost vents or something like that, maybe even a rammer to try to get more shots down range if I decide to swing towards trying to track. So there is a tank selection and a setup selection that's important, and that is going to help you in completing the missions. Now let's jump over to the mission and talk about a couple things, and I'm learning these as I go as well. Because you have to play with certain nationalities, if you say, hey, I'm going to do always on duty and I want to play my Manticore, and you play 3 Manticore games, and then you go, well, let me go play something else, and you're like me and you're dumb, and you grab a Polish TD, then you play a game and you wonder why it has clicked off another game of your always on duty. Well, it's because it's a nationality based, not tank based in this case, so that game counted. I did it again. I did it once, I think I mentioned it on stream maybe. I actually managed to do it again. You will notice right here, as I was talking during the battle, that was my second battle. Then I came home and I sat down and I played more battles. You can see down here I've got 5. So I have played 4 in the Manticore, 1 in the Galweca, like an absolute muppet. You will notice that 1 of the battles is missing because I have 4 left, which means I played 6 in this sequence. Remember when I said there was 1 before I didn't know? There you go. At the second battle, I was at 7. 7, fellas. Done. You will notice that I am now at 8. 8 after 6. Which means in 4 more Manticore battles, or 3, whatever the math turns out there, I've managed to add 1. 1. And that's where we get into the frustration of kind of the RNG based idea of World of Tanks. And I'm talking about RNG in terms of what match you get, what map you get, what team you get, what your tiering is. At least at tier 10, you're always top tier. how that team happens to play, how the RNG works for your team. Are people hitting shots while you're spotting? And then, of course, your skill, how you play, all that stuff. So that's not necessarily RNG based. That's how you do. But there's a lot going on there that may help or hinder you. I had atrocious teams. On the one where I got one spot, I actually died one of the first. On El Haluf, tried to get down into an aggressive spot, and I got massacred. But the problem is that the enemy team pushed so far forward, they were already around the side of my spot, and I died horribly. What's funny about that one is I did go from 7 to 8 on that one. The two before, one of them I lasted the entire game on Redshire and got 0, none, nada. I mean, we lost pretty badly, but I played for a while. And guys were shooting at things that I was spotting. The spotting was pretty good, but I got bubkiss out of that one. And then the other one was more or less a massacre. I think I lasted to the last on that one, but it was a fast game. We just got rolled over. Didn't have any time really to get going. So I am sitting now at 6 battles in a sequence of 10 with only 4 left. At one point in 2 battles, I had 7 of these things done. Now I only have 4 battles left, and I only have 8, so I'm well behind the power curve. Which is absolutely awesome. On the one hand, though, I am kind of happy that that happened, because now I'm going to show you something. 2 things. First one is this, that if I had half a brain, I would already know this, and more than likely a lot of you do, but there is a pause button, guys. If you hit pause, that mission is now paused. See where it says pause? And what that means is, if you were smart, and you said, all right, I've done 3 or 4 Mana Core missions trying to do these tracking, but I do want to play my Polish TD, but I don't want it to count in the sequence, now I can go play the Polish TD and it won't count. When I come back, though, I have to remember, I have to click unpause, and now the mission will count. So be careful. It's a great function, but if you forget, you might frustrate yourself if you go out and get that 10 spotting for kills battle and realize that you had not restarted the mission. That being said, reset, here it is, and I think I am going to do that with 4 battles left and 12 of these just to get the standard result. I mean, that's what, 3 each battle minimum. I think I will reset it, and we will do it for science. So I will hit reset, and let me see if there's something here that I missed last time, because I am damn sure I tried to reset right before that battle with the Mana Core, because I remember I sat down in the morning. Let me just check here. This does say 5. This is the count for the entire day. I should have 5 left, so clearly I did not reset it. All right, let's see what happens if I hit reset. Progress is lost, didn't reset, attention, all progress. Okay, confirm. I don't know, fellas. I don't know. I feel like I did that process correct. But I wanted to show you all that stuff because it can be a bit fiddly. All right, so I've reset. We've talked a lot about how you want to do this. I've given you some examples of my buffoonery. Let my pain not be your pain, and you can figure this out. Hopefully my mistakes will help you figure out the 279 early missions. I really thought this one would be pretty easy, and I have probably played about 20 Mana Core games trying to even get close, and so far I haven't got past 0.9 before I got to about that same point. One time I think I got to the 7th battle and I was at 0.9. I don't know, guys. I'm going to keep trying. I may have to switch down to the tier 8, so that might be the way to go. I'm thinking an ELC even 90 at tier 8 might be the way to get this mission done. Great stealth, probably about the same setup with CVS Optics and an LNES. Should be able to get around the map, get those spotting kills. As far as doing it the combat-oriented way and tracking them, maybe that's a way to swing to. Obviously, with a light tank, you might be able to do that as well. Some of the faster-firing light tanks might be able to be good at the tracking situation, but in today's day and age, with the number of things the big heavies have for getting untracked and the speed at which repairs happen sometimes, that's sometimes an iffy proposition. There you go. That's all I've got. If anybody else has any other good advice for people who are trying to do the 279 early missions, chuck them down in the comments. That's all I've got, and we will see ya.